Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. We got ourselves a blasty. How do you feel about that, Chris?
Well, fuck, Um, as being the number one fan of that emblem slash jersey, back to you, Dylan.
I almost bought myself a Michael Stone jersey, actually.
I,
I was on the website looking at the new Blasty jersey, and at the same time, Stone re-signed. I just don't know if Stone's going to play in any of the games that those that jersey's active for. So
I,
that's the only reason I didn't.
I hope not, because it would tarnish what is a very serviceable career that an absolute pro is built for himself. Um,
I don't know why you hate it so much. You're just an old grumpy man.
Old grumpy man. I'm telling you, man, like the late '90s and the early 2000s were not a great time for Flames fans, and that emblem just reminds me of those days.
Fair
So
enough.
that's
I
that's
mean,
always been my take on it. Um, I actually prefer the side profile that's happening with the Wranglers jersey, to
oh,
be
that's
honest with you.
beautiful, isn't it?
It is nice. I do like that one. Um, Not as an alternate for the Flames, but I think an alternate for the for the AHL affiliate.
It's
I'm
not
actually
happening on
cool.
the front of their jersey, is it? It's happening on the side.
I do believe. Yeah.
It's a shoulder patch. You
Yeah.
know what I think that would look really good with, actually? And it's not even, you're going to hate it because it's mediocre years. But I think the side profile Blasty would look fucking sexy in on the pedestal jersey.
Ooh, simmer down now. Jeez,
It's
that
like
took a turn.
piling losing on losing.
Yeah. Like, hey, hey, Chris, how do you feel about Blasty? Oh, I don't like it. Here, how about I kick you in the nuts? I don't like that either.
But honestly, like as a look, do you think that would look good?
Um, um, no,
No. Okay.
I love it as a patch on the shoulder.
Okay. Fair enough. Um. Anyways, I ended up getting a Rasmus Anderson jersey because he's going to dress for some of those games, and I love Ras.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. No, Stone, we're all excited about Stone signing yet another year. Um, we all thought that it was going to be happening sooner than later. I'm actually kind of surprised with how long it took, but with our cap situation, Brad had to make some moves and send people down. Even had to send somebody on waivers that we actually didn't quite expect, um, which is kind of unfortunate with him, because he was just having an interview 20 minutes beforehand talking about how happy he was that he had made the team,
I know
which
that's a little awkward, isn't it?
it's super awkward, but it is what it is, right? It's the
Yeah.
business of hockey. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously, in my opinion, I'd much rather have Stone there. Um, and I'm actually kind of happy that Mackey's still kicking around, and
Me
we'll
too.
we'll likely get into some games this year. I think moving forward, next year, year after that, Mackey's obviously going to be part of the team, um, as they progress through the years, opposed to Stone, because he is getting up there in age. Not that he's starting to drop off now, but I think as far as an actual plan for the Flames moving forward, Mackey's going to effectively steal those minutes, and probably some more, because we'll end up with some
Yeah. Like
changes on the back end.
as good of a attitude as Stone has, there's only so many years he's going to be okay with signing a PTO and proving himself when he's proved himself already.
I know.
And that's just going to continue happening, I feel like, unfortunately, even though he's proved himself.
I
But
I've said this. I said this many years ago. I don't know if I've repeated it to you. I honestly think that every player should be on a PTO every year.
Oh man,
and you
that it
make
makes so much sense though,
right.
because
You get a one
so
year
many
contract.
players like slack off, honestly,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
preseason.
Well, and that's even Stone said that after the announcement yesterday in his interview. There, now that you signed, you don't necessarily have to work so hard. And he laughed and he goes, I'm not one of those contracts where I don't have to continue to bust my ass, right? Or work hard. I think he said.
Exactly,
Right?
and it's funny he said that because who do you figure he was throwing under the bus there?
I don't
Because
know.
because that's definitely a throwing somebody under the bus
It
thing.
it it
James Neal.
it felt like it was. It could potentially have been players that are no longer with the organization. I mean,
Maybe.
it's purely speculation. Who knows who he was talking
Yeah.
about, right? I mean, he was probably talking about Michael Backlund. No, I'm
Maybe.
kidding. You know how much I love
He's
Michael.
he's a hell of an interview though, Stone.
He
Honestly,
is.
he's he doesn't hold back shit. Like unless he absolutely has to, like the other day when somebody, I think it was Logan Gordon, was asking him like, is there anything you need to tell us about your future? And he's like, nope. But like that's because he knew he was signed. He
Yeah.
just needed somebody to be sent down or claimed or whatever the situation was, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm really looking forward to having him on PP2. Um, like we were saying earlier, I think he's a good fit on PP2 because it's not so much of a puck possession power play unit. It's more of a trash and bang for rebounds and like Lucic and Backlund and guys who are just right next to the net who are gonna take quick little shots after the rebound and Stone's shot isn't going to get held on but two by many goalies.
Yeah. I mean, as it is right now, the second power play unit is listed to have Mangiapane, Backlund, Dubé, Hannafin, and Uyghur on it. Um, I mean, I would I would myself change Stone with number 55 personally.
Me too.
I think Stone and Uyghur could actually be a pretty deadly combo on the back end shooting the puck. That being said, I'd also make a change for either left or right wing as well on the power play, and put somebody like Luch in front of the net, somebody a little bit more
They
difficult.
don't have Luch on there, eh?
No,
I because he's been on there like for 2 or 3 years.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't understand why they like. Maybe it's listed wrong, or maybe they're just
Maybe
going to
it's
try
listed
something new.
wrong, or I mean, Dubé had a pretty solid camp.
He had a really good camp. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if nothing else, potentially right now, Sutter's
Wait a
just
second. Say
rewarding
that
him.
again.
Dubé had a solid camp.
Okay. I like it when you give Dubé credit. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him credit when it's there, 100%. I will absolutely do that. He plays for the Flames, right?
Yeah.
So I think Sutter's likely giving him, you know, giving him that extra bet to reward him for the camp that he had, which is good. That's the whole point of the camp, in my opinion, right?
Yeah,
So
like you were saying, it's tryouts for everyone.
that's right.
For everyone.
For everyone.
You
Exactly.
get put where you deserve.
That's right. And if things start dropping off as far as at least on the power play unit, then yeah, you go back to Luch, or I would honestly even put Lewis in that position as well, to somebody with really good net front presence,
Big body.
big body, yeah, veteran.
Because honestly, like Monge and Dubé, like as like
Yeah,
they're more skilled than Luch and Lewis, but
yep,
they're also like
they get
three,
pushed
four
around.
inches shorter and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
fall over.
they both get pushed around on a nightly
Yes.
basis,
Yes.
right? So it's not exactly who you want to have planted in front of the net per se.
Yeah,
I mean, they're good
exactly.
good at digging pucks out of corners. I'll give them that, right? But
Yeah.
but digging
Dig
pucks out
it,
of the
throw it
corner
back to the point, fall
is
over.
great. But if you're gonna get it back to the line and have them shoot with nobody in front to screen, it's a wasted effort.
Yes. Honestly, I think that Toffoli should be on the second And like I'm not even, you know, that I'm not even a huge fan of Mange being a first liner or whatever, but I think that he should be a first power play over to Foley because he tries harder and he's faster.
Hmm.
Um, and I feel like he's a lot like I have a huge problem with Toffoli's foot speed.
Yep.
Um,
I
especially on the power play. I feel like just the fact that Mange could catch up and corral a pass. Um,
I think one of the issues that I would have with that is making the second unit not even as good as they are now as a second unit. I personally would rather have Coleman take over Toffoli's spot on the power play.
oh, that works. Yeah, no, that works fucking perfectly. Just
And then
somebody that's less slow
mhm,
and like Toffoli forechecks fine, but slow.
yeah,
You know what I mean? If he gets in there, he's good. It's just a matter of him getting in there. Whereas Coleman gets in there every time.
every time. Yeah, he gets dirty. He would be good in front of the net. He doesn't mind being pushed around, but he's going to stand his ground, right?
Yeah.
And
And
I think
also
we need
like we
more
were
of that.
talking about with Toff on the second pairing or on the second PP unit, um that's going to be a crash and bang one, and he doesn't, you know, as slower as he is, he's not going to get pushed over as easy as these two guys.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Can you do that again? What guys? All right, we'll never do that again.
No.
Um,
So everybody remember that we have a Spotify, so you don't have to look at my stupid face.
and there goes our viewers.
Yeah.
So other giant news over the last few days, Yuso Valimaki is now playing for who? He's playing in a college arena now, isn't he?
He is, and from what I hear from um was it Steinberg, I think, said that he ran into him or went to the airport or something to talk to him because I guess they're friends. And
Oh
he
yeah,
said that like you can see the sense of relief on his face. Like he needed a fresh start. And um I know a lot of people are upset with the fact that we didn't get anything back. But to me, at this point in Yusuf Alimaki's career and where he's at, and knowing the Flames' defensive depth and the fact that we were going to have to send somebody on waivers, we would have had to give somebody like a fifth round pick or a fourth round pick to get rid of him
yeah,
before we sent him down. So the fact that Arizona just took him for free is almost a blessing to me.
yeah. I mean, he drafted in the first round. There
16th.
there was extremely high hopes for his career, his ability, his game. Um, Unfortunately, he had that injury, which I mean, it would set back anybody
Oh,
um,
absolutely.
with that leg injury.
Yep.
And then he had another injury, right? So he had the major one, and then he had a minor one. Um,
And then he missed the COVID year.
that's right.
Yep.
And then struggled to even keep minutes on the second pairing in the A.
And honestly, like I know we've talked about this on the podcast before, but I watched the last, was it two or three games that the Stockton Heat played last year against the Chicago Wolves um, in their playoffs, and Valimaki was like not even unnoticeable, but like noticeably bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I was watching that, I was trying to find positives. I was paying attention to him specifically, trying to find positives because I remember when he was drafted, and I remember the year after, and when he came in the playoffs against Colorado and was our best fucking defenseman at that in that series or in the games that he played. And he was just bad in the AHL last year, like
Yeah.
noticeably bad. And it was really unfortunate because I was trying to, you know,
Well,
see something good.
yeah, I mean, you're trying to look at positives or look for positives, but like he couldn't even make it on the power play number one, the penalty kill number one. Unfortunately, with our depth, which is weird because two, three, four defensemen actually jumped over him in the charts.
Yep.
It is what it is, and what was he making that 1.5?
1.55. Yep.
1.55. So I mean, like that's a big hit against the cap, right?
Yep.
When it comes to a team that is so close, and we needed money to sign Stone, who is actually going to play NHL minutes this year.
Yeah, and here's the thing too is like the Calgary Flames 5 years ago, 4 years ago would have it would have been good to keep Valimaki if we were in this position 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Or sorry, if we were in 5 years ago position now, because he's a project at this point.
Yeah.
Right. But where we are now is in a win now mode. And we don't have cap space for $1.5 million on a second pairing AHL guy. Not obviously that wouldn't count against our cap if he cleared, but that's what he is. And if he was on the NHL, he would have been $1.5 million. And that's just too much money for a guy who probably wouldn't have even played a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he did,
it is way too much, right?
Yeah, like again, we're win now. Stone is a proven commodity. Mackey has proven to be more steady than Valimaki and more um confident, honestly, than Valimaki.
Mm-hmm.
And having those two essentially at the same price combined as Valimaki is way better.
Yeah, 100%. And even if you look at the way his contract was structured, 1.55 if he's playing for the Flames. If he's playing in the minors, he's making 2 mil.
How the fuck?
Right? Because last year he was only making 1.1. So effectively, he's still making the same amount of money, whether he's playing for the A or for the NHL. But they just broke it up a little bit differently. So, like, could you imagine paying your second line or second pairing defenseman 2 mil in the A?
No,
No.
absolutely not. Like,
it's a weird one, right? I mean, we all
wish him the
expected and
best.
hope that it didn't go the way it did. Though you and I were both clamoring to potentially get extreme value for him 2-3 years ago.
We were.
And unfortunately we didn't, and so we lost him to waivers.
Yeah.
See?
And yeah, I just want to throw it out there that due to this whole thing, a couple years ago, our buddy Steve still owes me a Valimaki jersey that I don't want.
I mean, you could always take the nameplate off. I mean, there's always room for improvement on a jersey.
Well, number 6, right?
I've got a 13 and a 19 hanging up here that I'm going to have to change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and number 6 isn't hard to change. I mean, I could just put Weidman on there and it would be more at least better than Valimaki, if not good.
That's terrifying. Obviously I would go with Sarchi.
Yeah, no, me too. I was just trying to make a point about how bad Valimaki.
You were just trying to be a jerk, and we get it. Yeah.
But yes, obviously I love Sarich a fuckload more than Weidman. And I honestly don't hate Weidman.
I don't hate Weidman either. He made a shitty decision on the ice, and it kind of cost the Flames for a little bit, but
and cost him his career.
Right. I'm more interested and more worried about what he did to my organization.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I think that's an overblown thing. I think that might have been a thing that happened for like 10, 15 games, but not this like every time a bad thing happens ref wise to the Flames to this day, people are still like, oh, it's the Weidman effect. And it's like, no, refs are just
how
stupid.
how long was that, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago,
I want to say 6, 7, something
six,
like that.
seven?
You're
Can't
close.
can't even remember when that was. But yeah, no, you're right. But I always thought that if something happened as far as the refs, it was Bettman's fault. He doesn't want Canadian teams, right?
Yeah, that's an overblown thing too. The
No,
no,
no, it's accurate. Don't be like that. Be,
the Canadian teams just haven't been good enough to win the cup. It's not that Bettman doesn't want the Canadian team to win the cup.
no, no.
Shut up,
The
Chris.
the Flames won in '04. What do you mean not good enough? So while Dylan walks away, I'm probably thinking we should just take a quick break for our sponsor
We shall.
so we can think about what just happened and come back stronger and better than ever. See you in a few, people.
I hate you so much.
Hockey fans, it's finally time to hit the ice again, and thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you're in for the season of a lifetime. New customers can bet $5 on any team and get $200 in free bets if they win. I'm definitely doing it the next Battle of Alberta. And if that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $200 in free bets if they do. That's code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age, some restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Well, Chris, the head coach signed an extension.
He did.
And for me, that's a great sign because he came here to win. And he probably wouldn't have signed an extension. In fact, I'll put words in his mouth. Don't tell him I did, but he absolutely wouldn't have signed an extension if he didn't see the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, he did say he was coming in to win, and he had the 3-year deal. So I would say that he, in his vision, he truly thinks that we're in win now mode and potentially may need a year or two to make that happen. And he clearly wants to be part of it, and thinks this group moving forward it has the pieces. Which, I mean, obviously as fans we all think that as well. I'm truly excited for the season that's about to happen, because I think we are better on paper than we were last year, and last year we looked pretty damn good on paper.
Absolutely. Well,
This could I
honestly,
think
to
due to the
start the
playoffs.
season, we didn't.
No, I mean it wasn't super strong, but you also got to think, we had a top line that were just kind of starting off together. They ended up being the best line in hockey with
Yeah,
three career years, and all that fun stuff. So obviously point production, they were really assisting with that. We had a guy on our second third in Mangiapane that had a career year for at
really
least two
stepped up.
months, right? Really stepped up, and then
Had a career
couple
quarter
of
of a
months,
year.
yeah, career couple of months for sure.
Yeah,
And me, I'm just poking fun because he was amazing through the first 2.5 months of the season, and then kind of dropped off into nothingness.
about that. Yeah,
But that being said, I mean, it's going to take a little bit, I think, for the top line to figure their stuff out. It's going to take a little while for Lindholm to know exactly where to be, or know where to be looking when Huberdeau has a vision when he's skating up the ice, because he just makes it happen, right?
I feel like not to do well exactly to do the comparison that everybody always does, but I feel like with Gaudreau and Huberdeau, they're like very close to the same amount of elite when it comes to passing, but they're different kinds of passers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Gaudreau is more of a passing off of puck possession type of a guy, whereas Huberdeau is more of a one touch type of thing. So I feel like
Yeah.
it's just gonna have to be more snappy
Yeah.
for puck reception for the other guys.
That's true. That's very true. Where, Gaudreau, a lot of his passing was purely out of need because he wanted to get out of a situation. But he
A
was
lot of
very
it, yeah.
right. But he was very good at it, right? Even if he was,
He just held it too long.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he did some really amazing things with the puck. We got to see it live. It was super exciting, super fun.
Oh,
Where
it's amazing to
I
watch. It really
I
is.
I believe that Huberdeau is more on purpose. You know what I mean? Like the
He
passes that he's
sees what's
making.
happening
Yeah,
faster. It's
he's
hard
used
to
to.
explain. He sees what's happening faster than Gaudreau, and yeah,
When he's receiving the puck or getting the puck, whatever the case may be, you can tell that he's already made a decision and he knows what the next move is, opposed to Gaudreau always had a move, but if it didn't work out, he would dish it off.
yeah.
Right?
It's like Gaudreau. Like if they were playing chess, let's say Gaudreau was more of a thinking about what he was gonna do next, whereas Huberto is more of a thinking about where the opponent's gonna be in 3 turns from now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's in the industry in which I work in. We call that the difference between being proactive and reactive.
I like that. Yep.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So
You should talk to my bosses about that. It's fucking horrible. Anyways,
I think any good boss or leader will already know that theory and work within it.
keyword good. Anyways,
yeah.
I hope they're not listening.
So
Actually, I hope they are. Fuck it.
Speaking of proactive good leaders, so what did Daryl sign? 2 years, right?
I believe so. Yep. So that makes it the rest of this year and then 2 more.
Yeah. So that's good. And also there's talk of the fact that Brad potentially may have also signed an extension. I don't know if it's actually been reported though. Have you seen
He was
anything?
talking about it on 960 yesterday at like just as Flame Stock was ending.
Oh, okay.
Or sorry, as the Francis show was ending, fuck sakes.
So
And he was like, he basically said, like, we've got the players done, we've got the coach done, now we're gonna work on me, basically. Like to paraphrase. So
okay.
they're working on it.
Okay. So I think
which is a good order to do that in if you're a GM.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to actually extend your contract, you should probably make sure the team is good.
Yeah.
That's probably a good way to go about business. I think in my heart of hearts that he'll end up being the same extension as Sutter.
I feel like it's the core, like not the core, but the window that they've built is. I mean, I think Sutter deserves probably, we'll see, but probably to be around for longer. But I feel like this is Tree Living's last kick at the can.
Yep.
And it's been like, it's a huge fucking kick at the can. And it's almost like he was threatened with his job. And then he went out and did all this shit. And it's been great. But if it doesn't work, then I feel like he's out before Brad. But yeah, they're both locked up for basically you and I both think, you know, 3 years is basically our window, maybe 4, but that they're locked up. Well, not Brad, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Sutter's
Agreed.
locked up.
Agreed. And you're right. You know, this summer Brad was kicked in the nuts, but he absorbed it very well.
Yeah. And
Right.
you know what's amazing to me is how much we've talked about in the past, and this hasn't really been talked about even online, which surprises me. But we've talked about a lot in the past how ownership doesn't let the GM do his job in Calgary.
Right.
But what happened this offseason?
I feel like they allowed him to do his work.
For the first time ever? Or maybe, do you think he stood up for himself and was like, listen, you don't let me do what I'm supposed to fucking do, so sit down, shut the fuck up, and let me do my job?
In maybe not in so many words, but I would say, well, actually, you know what? Maybe in those words. You
I
know,
feel well, like he
right?
was, like you
Like
said, he was kicked in the nuts. You have to say words like that when you're kicked in the nuts.
that's fair. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, it's been a topic in this city for decades, right? Of how the ownership
Decades, yeah.
core has not allowed GMs to do their job, which is like, why would you have a GM if you don't allow them to do your job? Like, it's stupid. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
No, absolutely.
As
It doesn't make any sense to me either.
as much as Murray Edwards likes to think that he knows hockey, he doesn't fucking know hockey.
Yeah.
He's a fan. He knows the business of hockey, but he doesn't know the game. And
I feel like what Tree Living went up and said to manage or to ownership this offseason is exactly what he stood up or what he should have stood up and said to management when the was it Jason Zucker trade didn't happen, because it was like because they didn't allow him to do it until it was like a minute after the trade deadline, and then the paperwork couldn't get through in time.
yeah, I mean that's fair. I don't think that Zucker would have been a super make or break for this franchise at the time.
Me neither, but
But
if you look at it, we wouldn't have had the cap space for James Neal if we had Jason Zucker.
yeah, but I mean, let's be honest though. The day that was signed, that was not a mistake.
No, and
So,
I'm like,
right,
I'm adamant about that.
yeah. The one thing, and I'm, you know, if that's truly what happened with Brad and talking with ownership, it it had to have followed a serious situation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And losing two guys in your top line in that fashion is a serious situation. So I
Yeah,
think
and
like if Brad goes to the ownership and says, "Fuck you, you're not allowing me to do my job because of Zucker," ownership's going
no,
to be like, "Okay, anyways,
yeah,
get back
I
to
know
work."
what you mean, but
But in this situation, it's completely different. And so if he was able to do that, or if he did do that, it would actually hit home better, right?
I agree with that, but I don't think that the Zucker thing was really about Zucker to me, anyways. Zucker, I think. But anyways, I don't think it was about the player. I think it was about the fact that he had to go through multiple layers of fucking ownership, and that cost them the winger that they were looking for
Yeah,
at the time.
that's
Right.
yeah, then that's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair because that's
it
been
wasn't about who the winger was. It's the principle of not letting him do his fucking job.
yeah, no, exactly, and I agree with that 100%. All I'm saying is that if Brad would have
It wouldn't have hit home. I get,
yeah, the ownership would have been like, so what? Get back to work, right?
yeah.
Where now, like losing a player like Johnny Gaudreau and not getting a single asset for it,
Yeah.
like that's huge.
And then being
And
forced, like, I don't think if honestly, if Bill Zito wasn't a fucking idiot, I don't think that we would have got anywhere near what we got.
no,
Like, any other team wasn't offering two fucking stars and a first round pick and a prospect for Kachuk. As much as I love Kachuk, he's still basically my favorite forward in the league. Like,
I I would imagine at least 14 teams would have done that.
you think so?
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
maybe one star and a
he,
first round, like
he's
not two
still
stars.
that wasn't 2 stars, right? That
But
was
the thing
that
is
was 1 star and one guy that had an incredible year backing up for a star.
yeah. Well,
Right.
I think the thing for me is that it wasn't like Tree Living didn't ask for it. Zito went up, like called up Tree Living. From what I hear, Zito called
Yeah.
up Tree Living and was like, "Hey, we've got a package including Huberto and Uyghur," and Tree Living was about to say yes, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, and a first round pick and a prospect," like. And Tree Living
Yeah.
was like, "Okay, I'm gonna sit
That's
back and let you continue talking at this point because you're
that
fucking
that
up."
that's speculation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. That being said, Florida did have 2 players that they were trying to negotiate contracts, both of which were going to get pay raises
Oh yeah,
that they couldn't afford. Right. So I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces there. I
absolutely.
I honestly think with Kachuk's age, with his
Team
on
control too.
right, yeah, you're right. Age, team control, his his on ice play, not necessarily offensive play, but just the way he goes around um, the ice. He's very physical. He's very dominant,
Unicorn.
right? With his, and then you have his name. Like there's so many different things that I honestly think that there would have been at least 14 teams that would have given the same thing up.
Oh, same reason why we were all like, well, personally, I was sitting there when that draft was happening, like, get Kachuk, get Kachuk,
Yeah,
get Kachuk. It's not like I had watched 1,000 fucking London Knights games. It was like I know who Keith Kachuk is, and I
that's
know
right.
Matthew Kachuk's stat line, and I was like,
Yeah,
those two things combined, let's get this kid, right?
exactly. Exactly.
In fact, I was like, let's trade up for this kid, and he just fell.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So, I mean, I honestly don't think that the return was extreme at all. I really
I
don't.
I still do, but
Yeah.
either way.
I think the
Speaking of the
the
return,
potential, the potential of that return, right? I think will be great because,
I don't
like you
think
said,
I
it's
don't
it's.
think Cito was going to sign them both.
I don't
Like
think he
he
was going to
couldn't have,
sign either.
right? Well, I think he would have signed. Well, I think he could have easily signed at least Huberto, as we know that Huberto was waiting for that phone call,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But either way, we haven't
Yeah.
talked about the extension yet for
Who's
Uyghur.
for Uyghur? The 6.5.
625, I think.
Yeah, 6.25 for 8 years.
Fucking beautiful.
It's a great contract. Um,
Um,
for both, really. Like I
Huberto as well. You think?
no, I mean like both player and friend and team.
I agree. Um, I want to give Tree Living a lot of credit on this because Uyghur proved to a point last year that he could be the step in. Like he stepped in for Ekblad to be the number one while Ekblad was hurt for, I think it was fucking 40 games or 30 games or something like that.
Yep.
And so for around half the season, he was the number one defenseman on a President's Trophy winning team, right? And I think that 6.25 is cheap as fuck for that. Honestly, like I was ready for 7.5 to 8, and I was probably okay with that. I probably would have been like, okay, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
But the fact that it's 6.25 It's long, but so are all the other contracts we signed this off season.
Yeah,
And one thing I really, really want to give Tree Living credit for is how well thought out it was. I don't know why Uyghur Uyghur's representatives, who is actually his uncle, um, was okay with this, but
I
it's a
think.
full no trade clause for 4 years, which is about our window, in my opinion. I think in your opinion too.
Mhm.
And then after 4 years, he's got a 10 team no trade list. So there's 22 or more, depending on if there's another expansion by then, right? There's 22 at least teams that he can be traded to. That is a lot of fucking teams.
Well,
And a
exactly.
lot of teams could use a number one, two, or three defenseman
Yeah, and
on a,
and at that point he'll be 32,
yeah.
right?
And
And
6.25 in theory with the cap going up
mhm,
is going to be fucking cheap, even for a 32-year-old,
yeah, that's
in my opinion.
and I've been saying this for many years. Brad signing extensions is brilliant.
It's the
As
free agents.
it's the free agents that he
Yeah.
just kind of fucks up a little bit and overvalues.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Agreed.
like not all of them, but I mean, he does kind of have a bit of a history with it, right?
I mean, look at Hannafin. Look at, like, as much as I kind of shit on Hannafin a little bit,
Yeah,
he's still good. And for his price, he's better than his price.
that's right.
Lindholm is twice at least his price.
Absolutely.
Uyghur is, from what I've seen, anyways, probably 2 million more than his price.
That's right. It's a value contract.
Yeah,
But when you give it for 8 years, it makes teams, especially from a player like Uyghur that was just kind of, you know, forgotten about and thrown to the wolves and traded after having that kind of career year in that situation.
yeah,
Having a team that comes to you and says, I've got 8 years, I've got $50 million to give to you to stay with my team.
yeah,
That it shows a lot. It shows a lot for the player as far as the franchise being Calgary. Obviously they want me. So yeah. So you're willing to take that, potentially $1 million off instead of, riding out your contract and then going and signing a 6 year at 7 mil
yeah.
because you're making less money overall.
Yeah. And it might be a little bit of a bad example because it's $10.5 million, but
Mhm.
it, like, Huberdeau essentially said the same thing. I signed a extension with Calgary because they wanted me, because they traded for me, and because I was listening to I think it was 32 Thoughts with him. I can't remember. But anyways, he was like, the fact that Brad went to Montreal, and what the jokes about the Boston pizza dinner or whatever, but like the fact that Brad actually went and took him out for dinner and got to know him, didn't talk extension at that point, but like he traded for him, he went and got to know him, and the city wanted him, and it's the same with Uyghur, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
to be
Absolutely.
wanted, right, is a huge under um it's
It,
undervalued, I think.
it is it's a big thing when it comes to any player, right? I mean, when you don't have a fan base, or say a third of a fan base, and certain members of the media trying to run you out of town, it gives you a better feeling about what you're doing,
Just, yeah.
right? Fucking Eric. But anyways, that being said, it was like the best thing that ever happened to it. So I mean, I don't want to thank the man, but
Yeah.
do better. Anyways, so I mean, it's a big thing, right? It really is for the psyche of a player. I mean, they're still reasonably young. I can say that because I'm obviously older than all of them.
I'm
Um,
older than them too.
that's terrifying. If you're older than the players, I mean, and you're kind of on the cusp of sensitive. I mean, of that age, and so you understand what I'm saying, right?
I
Just
do.
having a
I'm the
team that
same age as Michael Backlund. Let's just say that. So
yeah,
I'd be almost retiring if I was good at a sport.
how does that make you feel? If you would have applied yourself when you were younger, you'd be getting ready to retire instead of about to have a nap in 2 hours to go to work. Hmm.
I I love naps. Go fuck yourself.
I love naps too. Cheers to naps. Naps are great.
Yeah.
So, all right. So a couple of extensions, signing or two with players and staff, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Lots of good news to report.
You know what? It's been a fun off season. Obviously it didn't start out fun, but
Really good last couple weeks too.
and been a really good last couple of weeks for sure. That being said, later on today we have I believe is it our opening game?
That's
Like
tomorrow.
that's tomorrow, but of course
Yeah.
this is airing tomorrow.
Right.
So
So
later
yes.
on today, um, on the 13th of October, we're opening the season up against the
Stanley Cup
Stanley
champion,
Cup
Colorado
champion.
Avalanche.
Kadri is going to have so much fun kicking the shit out of anybody he can along the boards,
Mhm.
center ice, in the net.
I want to call you out on one thing before we go.
Okay.
Jack Eichel's going to lead the Vegas Golden Knights to the
Oh,
playoffs.
he's going to,
He's on a fucking he's on another level. He's not going to be a 100-point player, but he's going to absolutely lead that team to a playoff berth, and
well,
even without solid goaltending. That's my opinion.
they have no goaltending. Next Tuesday, he's on the 18th. He's going to have to keep his head up because he's facing the Calgary Flames.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've got a couple of guys that, love hitting guys
Mm-hmm.
like that. So, I mean, I don't know. It's been proven over Eichel's entire career.
He's really good at scoring goals.
He's really good at Eichel. He's very good at Eichel.
I noticed that last night too, actually.
Yeah, he's a one man show, and if you ask him, he'll tell you that. He give he
He's
doesn't
definitely a little too selfish.
he does not give a fuck about his team.
I don't agree with that. He doesn't give a fuck about his team, but
Yeah,
on the ice, he definitely wants to shoot the puck more than pass.
yeah. It's like watching the World Juniors in the round robin. It's the me show, right?
It's the oh wait, I'm playing against Team Latvia,
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna carry the puck everywhere.
I'm gonna shoot the puck
Not
from
to pick on
wherever I'm
Latvia,
at.
but
No, no. I mean, you could
you
have
know,
said Slovakia. You could have said anybody,
no,
right? But that's my opinion on him. He's very high on himself. He thinks he's the greatest player that's on the ice when he's on the ice. Um, I'm actually more looking forward to playing against his ex team next Thursday on the 20th. Right?
that
Buffalo's in
team's
town.
exciting too.
They're
Like
super exciting.
honestly, I think that trade is going to be beneficial for both teams.
I think it's definitely beneficial for Buffalo, and it's already proved to
Oh,
be.
absolutely, it's beneficial. They got a player that wants to be there.
Yeah,
Let's just
and
start with that.
and they were able to add pieces, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
good pieces, and again, great trade for Buffalo. But I think that you undervalue Jack Eichel as an actual hockey player.
yeah.
That's all.
I mean, don't get. I do think he's a hell of a hockey player. I don't like his me attitude, and I mean every team he's ever played on, they haven't made the playoffs.
Oh
including
well.
including an extremely stacked Vegas team that missed the playoffs for the first time in the one and only year Jack played for them.
Okay, so you know where I'm going with this.
I mean, I don't give a shit about his injury, and I don't give a shit about Stone's injury.
Stone's injury,
If it was
Leonard's
such,
injury, fucking Petrangelo's injury, Theodore's injury, Pacioretty's injury. They didn't have a fucking team, buddy.
well, they don't have a goalie this year. Sam Leonard is injured for the year.
Did you watch last night? Like Logan Thompson isn't an elite goalie, but a he's a 1B probably.
That's going to be the issue, right? Vegas requires an elite goalie because they don't have
Semyon
great.
Varlamov to Vegas.
They don't have reasonable defense.
Yeah, they do.
Who?
Petrangelo, Theodore,
How old is Petrangelo?
32, 33 maybe.
Yeah, and
Theodore, Zach Whitecloud is very underrated.
I don't
Braden
I don't think
McNabb, like
I don't
they
think
have
Pat
a
I don't
good
think Pat
experience.
could make our team as far as defense.
Don't think who?
Petrangelo. I don't think he would make our team.
He would absolutely make our team.
I don't think so. But anyways, personal opinion.
Six shots, 2 assists last night. Just saying.
There you go. Head of the West.
Not that
Vegas.
I judge, defensemen on their points, but that's Petrangelo's role as points, right?
Right.
He's a Shillington-esque player, but he's better defensively than Shillington.
Yeah, I would hope.
Which is not saying much, but
Yeah.
he's also an ex-captain of a Stanley Cup winning team, so
Yeah, that's true.
anyways, why are we talking about Vegas?
Because you wanted to call me out about Eichel and you haven't proved a point yet.
Well, I did.
Okay. Well, you proved your point then. Anyways, so tonight we got Colorado, Saturday in Edmonton, Battle of Alberta, 8 p.m. Can't wait for that either. Flames are starting off the season against some pretty top-notch opponents. It's going to be a true test.
Be fun to watch, I think.
It's going to be phenomenal. Also to note, and it's funny because I said Thursday and you said Wednesday. It's almost like I'm Pat Steinberg, as Pat Steinberg reported today, being Wednesday, that Markstrom is
sick
out due to illness today for practice on Thursday. To which he did own it himself on Twitter. He took the loss on that, as he says. So hopefully Marky can get through whatever he's dealing with. If not, I have full confidence in Darth Vladar starting up on Thursday.
I have no problems with Vladar playing back-to-backs to start the season, to be honest.
Nope.
Even against Edmonton and Colorado.
If there's one way, if you want to show what you're made of, why not do it against the defending Stanley Cup champs and then the Oilers with the high flying offense?
So if Markstrom's sick, do you think they bring up Wolf and play Vlad one and Wolf the next?
I don't, because there's a day in between.
Yeah,
but they may bring Wolf up to sit on the bench, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my thought, right? Because I think Vladar is ready to go.
100% he's ready to go.
And I think that it's almost a blessing that he's playing against Edmonton, because let's be honest, Markstrom's fucking borderline AHL backup against Edmonton.
Yeah. So then, so
he's elite against everyone else. But
so if we can with the scenario that's happening, we're going to potentially have Vladar starting against Colorado, and then on Saturday against Edmonton, and then Markstrom can play 4 games, right? And then on 29th, we can have Vladar starting in Calgary against Edmonton. I mean, I think that's a brilliant way to set it up.
I like it. Let's do it.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of the Armchair GM podcast brought to you
Another
by
quick 20-minute episode.
the Hockey Podcast Network. Don't forget to download episodes, smash the subscribe, hit the like, make sure you're dinging the notification bell just so you know when we're coming on next. Thanks for tuning in. From Dylan and Chris. Cheers.
Cheers.